Well, everybody, welcome back to Trig Podcast of Joy and Gozo TV on this lovely Monday night. It is indeed almost 9:30 p.m. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this episode talking about this ongoing series on midlife, and especially, and it doesn't have to be a midlife in your 40s or 50s. It could be the quarter life midlife, which happens in your probably mid to late 20s, maybe 27, 28. Right around there, perhaps 30s. But what do you do when you come to these times of your life when you have no direction? You feel like you have done a lot of things in the past, but that's no longer who you are. And you have some ideas of what you could do in the future or in your next life, but you're not certain yet. You've tried a few things, but it hasn't worked. You don't feel ready. So let's talk about that. But I want to just first tell you hello and welcome to my channel. I live stream here daily, sometimes daily devotions, sometimes music, sometimes most of the time I do positive mindset, just helping you think things through, especially when it comes to transitions and life situations. And so, as I said, it's crazy when I was just talking to a couple of friends over the weekend that were in that situation, more in their 20s, saying, I don't want to do what I was doing. I've already done a lot of things in life. I know what I don't like, and I don't want to go back to any of those things. One of them, I think, was an entrepreneur. Another one did things online. Another one, I think, worked at a shoe store or selling shoes. And so they were saying, I know I don't want to do that anymore, but I don't know what else to do. And so we were talking about some of those things. I wonder if you have felt this way before. So leave me a comment, let me know if you have felt this way. What have you done when you have gotten stuck in life, when you've hit that wall, whether it's in your late 20s or maybe at 40s or 50s. So I think when you're young and you begin to hit that wall, sometimes, let's say, as I said, in your 20s or late 20s, what's happening is that you're at a boundary. You're at a time where your skills are pretty high. You've maybe been to college, graduated, maybe a master's degree. You've tried a few things. You know what you're good at, but that no longer satisfies you because it didn't get you your dream. Your dream is still to be free and to travel. Your dream is still to find the love of your life. Your dream is to still be able to be financially free. But doing all those things didn't get you there, and so you're dealing with unhappiness. I read a book called the Happiness Curve, and at midlife, which is more where I'm at, meaning like 40s and early 50s, that's when you hit the lowest point of happiness or unhappiness. But it actually begins right around your late 20s, early 30s. And so it doesn't surprise me that some of the young people that I mentor and coach that are in their 20s, they're beginning to feel some of these things. And I think especially when it comes to, or because of this transition and this pandemic, perhaps you've been through illness, your parents, you kind of got through it if you're a younger person, and you're now on to the next thing, but you don't know what the next thing is. And you're kind of, in some ways, overwhelmed with so many options because you still have the energy. Obviously, if you're in your 20s, you have so much time. And even if you're in your 40s or 50s, you still have a lot of energy. But that dreamer in you, that achiever, that entrepreneur, that doer, doesn't let you be at peace with just doing the same old thing. You want to do something new, something fresh, something that will accomplish your dreams. But what is it? Of course, you're a person of faith. You pray, you go to church, you serve, but you don't want to do the same old thing. And you're in limbo. Well, this is what the early fathers would call liminal space. Liminal meaning this in between, this margin for error, this unhappiness curve, or happiness curve, I guess. You could call them boundaries, transitions, change, loss, grieving. All those things fit. It feels like all those things. And just like grieving, you have stages. And so you might be in one of these stages. Are you at the stage of numbness? So put in the chat below if you are numb these days. Do you feel numb? That's one of the stages. Numbness, which I think a lot of people feel these days, feels like you're kind of doing the bare minimum just to get through. And so numbness feels like you're still kind of like they call it a working alcoholic, meaning that you still have energy and you still have things that you have to do, work and school and whatever else, but you're just maintaining. That might be where you're at, and that is what's called numbness, feeling numb. You might be in denial. You might have gone through a challenge, through a loss, and you might be thinking, well, that didn't really happen. Or maybe you were recently married, or you had your first baby if you're in your 20s. You've been dating someone that you really thought was the one. You were in a band or doing a project or your first job, and you thought, man, this is it. But then it didn't go well. You didn't accomplish what you wanted. One of the 5 M's, as they call them. And so the 5 M's, speaking of that, is mastery, money or financial stuff, movement, which is freedom. Let's see, what's the other one? Mating, which are relationships. And there's one more. I forget. So I'll just put the 4 up there. So these are the 4 things. I think there's a 5th one that most of us as humans, we would consider happiness. And so part of what makes a lot of people unhappy, or where they feel like they're lacking direction, is because they did work hard for one of those things and it didn't pan out. You weren't able to accomplish what you thought would make you happy. And so you're in this liminal space. You're in between. You're in a boundary. You're in the boat, and the waves are maybe really hard coming against you, or maybe they're just turbulent. There's just turbulence. And so the first thing to do, some tips, I guess, is the first thing is to just simply hang in there and don't make any really crazy changes in life. What happens at midlife or quarter life crises is that a lot of times people will just make some really big changes in life. And they'll just say, oh, I need to start a new career. I need to leave this relationship. I need to leave my faith. I need to make some radical changes. And sometimes that's the right thing to do, but sometimes that's the worst thing you can do, because then you will lose any sense of stability that you had. And so you have to kind of know yourself and say, I need to hang in there. Number 2 is to make sure, obviously, that you ask God and friends for input. And that's common, right? But it's hard to do sometimes because it can feel embarrassing to talk to people that you think, well, they seem to have it together. They don't seem to have the problems I have. They have clear direction. People may think that of me. People may think that of you. But reality is that many people are lacking direction. Not everyone may express it the same way. Some people may say, oh, I'm good. Some people may feel like they're working hard on something and they haven't hit the wall yet. But not everyone will say, I don't have any direction. But that's why it's good to just talk to people. When I do, and I do talk about kind of some of my questions, sometimes people won't understand, or they'll maybe even, chastise me, or they may chastise you and say, well, shouldn't you know? So you don't want to talk to those people too often. You want to go to those people that are like-minded, that have similar questions and are in the process of figuring things out. Number 3 is to, let me type it in here, is to conserve energy. Conserve energy. That's very important because when you're in this liminal space of going back and forth between kind of the old you and the new you, or the old you and the I don't know who I am you, you're spending a lot of energy thinking, feeling down, not knowing what to do, processing, maybe overfeeling, over drinking. And we'll get to that 5th one here, or the 4th one. So you want to conserve energy. Do the things that are really rejuvenating to you, whatever that may be. Spend time with people that lift you up. Spend time in those relationships, doing those things that you really enjoy. And then the last thing is to watch temptation, is to watch out. Watch out for temptations. And so, as I mentioned, when you are in a place of transition and feeling like you are at sea without a paddle, you can tend to fall for temptations, drinking, pornography, illicit relationships, gambling, even oversleeping, overspending, overeating. Anything that's an addiction can definitely be harmful. Sure, if you are having, I don't know, a few extra sodas or whatever, or cake or ice cream, which are, well, actually, my weaknesses are more carbs, but let's say you are a sweet person, a sweet tooth person. It's not a big deal if you're doing that here and there, but if you're seeing patterns that are harming your health, that are hurting you, then obviously you want to have people around you, be vulnerable, talk to someone, whether it's a life coach like myself, or your parent, your friend, your siblings if you're younger, someone that you can trust, and that you can just simply say, hey, I'm overspending right now, or I'm in this relationship that I know is wrong in the eyes of God and just in my own conscience. So you want to watch out for those things so that you don't go down the wrong path. You stay on the narrow path that leads to life. So I hope these tips help. It's kind of what I'm doing as I also transition, or as I go through this big change. For me is a midlife one. For you, it might be, if you are in your 20s, more the quarter life kind of transition. Maybe you're younger, maybe you're older, maybe you've been through this. I would love to know kind of how you got through it, or what you're doing to get through it, to hang in there, to watch out for temptation, to conserve energy, to seek God. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time. Adios.